York State has passed the right to repair bill, but I'm disappointed. What actually happened is that New York State passed a watered down version of the right to repair bill, and I think that that's really not going to get us what we want. So what are we going to do about it? I think we need to simplify right to repair. It's time to tell legislators what we actually want in really simple terms, and I'm going to try to do that in this video. The right to repair, as far as I'm concerned, as it applies to consumer mobile electronics, is very simple. What we're asking for is this. Manufacturers shouldn't be allowed to tie together the device function with their branded parts and service. Let me say that again. What's going on now is that the manufacturers of these devices, they require using their branded parts, their branded service, in order to preserve the complete device function. Here's a couple of examples so that you can really understand this. I like to fix my own phone. This is my iPhone 12 Pro. And right now, this iPhone 12 Pro needs a battery. In fact, I can look up in the settings under its battery health, and I can see that the current battery that's in here is only 90% of a new battery. And in fact, this phone doesn't go all day long without needing to be charged. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to install this battery. This is my favorite battery. I love this battery because it's actually better than the original battery. In fact, this battery will deliver 3,000 milliamp hours. That's about 118% of the milliamp hours that the original battery can deliver. So I can put this battery in there. However, I'm going to lose function because this is not an Apple branded battery. This is a better battery. And if I install this battery into my phone, it will charge. However, I will lose the ability within the phone's iOS. I can't see the battery health information anymore. It'll just say service, and it'll give me messages that this isn't an Apple battery. It doesn't give me that choice to use the better aftermarket battery and still retain the ability to see my battery health. Now, what about another issue? Another issue that's really common in iPhone 12s, in fact, there's an Apple recall, is the ear speaker issue. These Apple iPhone 12, 12 Pro, they will just have defective ear speakers, and the ear speaker replacement will solve that problem. However, the Apple recall doesn't extend to the Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max. However, those ones still get the same problem and they need ear speaker replacement. So let's look at what does it look like to actually do an ear speaker replacement, and how is Apple controlling us with branded parts and service. So you can take a look. This is an original iPhone screen, and on the screen right here, this is the part that goes bad. This is the ear speaker. And it's pretty simple to replace the ear speaker. I've got another one right here. This is what it looks like. This is the ear speaker piece. And all I need to do is turn about 4 screws, and I can swap out, swap in. I can replace the ear speaker, no problem. The cost of this part is, I don't know, it's less than 20 bucks for sure. However, if I were to replace the ear speaker, then my iPhone will no longer have Face ID. I will lose Face ID function by simply replacing this part. If I want to replace the ear speaker and retain that function, Face ID, I have to use branded Apple screens and branded Apple service. And here's what that looks like. Hey Apple, can I just buy this ear speaker? No, Jessa, you have to buy this thing, a full assembly. And I bought one right here for my phone. This is a new ear speaker, and it comes with here it is, new ear speaker, comes with this screen, and it comes with all new screws. So I can just throw away my perfectly good old screws. I have to replace my entire screen, and more than that, in order for my device to accept the new ear speaker assembly, I have to accept these crazy, invasive terms and conditions that allow Apple to have access to all the data in my phone. And I must agree to that. I have to say yes in order to complete the repair. So in order for me to replace this simple piece, the ear speaker, I have to pay $291, replace the entire screen, and accept these really aggressive terms and conditions to do that. So I think the right to repair, that what we really want, what we're really asking for, is very simple. We want to ask you legislators to be sure that manufacturers aren't allowed to continue to do this. They can't continue to tie together device function to their branded parts and service. Now let's talk about what actually happened here in New York. We have a right to repair bill that people have been working on for years, and it finally came up for the first time ever for a floor vote, and that happened last June. The bill passed by a huge margin. There were hardly anybody on both sides of the aisle that actually said no. Everybody voted yes, and it passed. That bill made it to Governor Kathy Hochul's desk on December 16th. Now, due to some crazy rules with how the New York legislature works, that bill could sit on her desk, and if she took no action, then it would automatically become a law. So last night, she did take some action, and what we know happened is this statement. So this is the statement that she issued today, which tells us that she has signed a version of the right to repair bill, but in the highlighted parts really make me nervous. She said that the legislation as it was drafted included technical issues that could put safety, security at risk, as well as the risk of injury. Now, the safety, security, and injury are common lobbying points that the oppositions, the people that make these devices, use to try and scare us into not being able to fix our own things. And worries me that she says that she has reached an agreement with the legislature to address these issues, but we don't know what those details mean. Now, what I'm afraid of is that the bill that we had that had passed, so this is the bill from June that went to the governor's desk, it had one part that I'm really excited about, and I'm definitely worried that it was axed from the final bill. And here it is. The bill said, with respect to tools, so let's think about what that means for this idea of tying device function to branded parts and service. Tools are the thing, the mechanism for how Apple, for example, how Apple can force you to program your new screen assembly that you have to buy to replace your ear speaker. They have to program it through some kind of magic for the device to accept it, and that's called, calibration. And the way that they do that is they make you connect to the internet. You have to talk to Apple in order for Apple to approve your part replacement. And in fact, I even did an experiment to see what happens if I bought a part from Apple and then I installed a different part from another iPhone, and the answer is their process of approval, that go talk to the mothership, it rejected my repair. So I wasn't able to even replace one Apple screen for another Apple screen, one OEM to another one. I wasn't allowed to do that without Apple's oversight and approval. So the law as written that we were hoping would just get a stamp of approval specifically says, with respect to tools, so that mechanism of pairing the new part to the device, such tools are made available by the OEMs at no charge and without requiring authorization or internet access for use. And that was really key, at least for me. The law said the tools to repair a device cannot require internet access. Now, the entire ecosystem of how Apple is forcing you to use their branded parts and service would require internet access. So this provision, to me, what that did was it breaks the current Apple parts pairing process. So to me, this was the most important part of the bill. And I'm pretty sure that Governor Hochul put a big X through that. Without that, then we're back to the original problem. There's nothing in the rest of this bill that tells Apple that they're not allowed to tie device function to their branded parts and service. So they're still able to do that. So this is not a win. I don't think it's a win really at all. And I think that we need to do a better job when we, talk to people and we try to help people understand what it is that we're really asking for. You should be able to put an ear speaker from one phone into another phone and have it still work. That has always historically been the case. It's no longer the case now. Today's phones do not allow you to do a lot of part swapping. They are very restricted. They're very locked down. They require branded parts, branded service. They require the OEM oversight to tell you what parts you can and can't install. You are not allowed to install an even better part. The manufacturer is forcing you to install their part in order to have full function of the device. Now we can see more about what the letter that we got from the governor, which says that the agreement allows for OEMs to provide assemblies of parts rather than individual components. That's terrible. That's what we already have. It doesn't help anyone to have a $300 ear speaker when there's one sitting right here that I could install and it won't be accepted. It will not work. I can't preserve Face ID function if I install this piece. That's not a win. Requiring the OEMs, allowing them control of assemblies isn't a win. And then the last thing that's really disappointing about this is down here at the bottom. When does this take effect? Well, this is not going to apply at all to any phone that's in this shop, not this iPhone 12 Pro Max ear speaker, not a single phone in here, because it's only going to apply, this very limited bill will only apply to devices that are manufactured for the first time, as well as sold or used in New York for the first time on or after July 1st, 2023. So it's a far in the future thing at best. So I'm disappointed. However, I think that it's time for us all to take some action. What can we do about this? It's our responsibility as consumers. It's our responsibility as independent repair technicians, business owners, to help our legislators understand what it is that we actually need. And I don't think that we have been that clear. I think that we can be more clear. Let's take up this phrasing. Let's stop using the word genuine parts or authorized parts. The manufacturers don't have the right to have authority over what parts I want to put in a phone that I own, that I bought, that's mine. I get to decide that I'm the authority. I think that we need to take back our authority and demand to have the same rules applied to consumer electronics that they do in every aspect of your life. You don't go to the doctor and have the doctor tell you have to take branded Tylenol and nothing else. Even our printer ink, HP printer ink, you don't have to use HP printer ink. You are perfectly welcome to go to Costco and buy any kind of ink you want and use it in your printer. And it's time for us to insist on these same basic rights for our consumer electronics. We want to be able to have full device function when we repair our devices with the parts that we choose. We insist that you should be able to take parts from one device, put it into the same device, and have them work. We have to stop allowing the manufacturers to tie device function to their branded parts and service. And that is my message for the right to repair. And I hope that you guys take that up and just simplify and help everyone understand what it is that we really want.